Manager of our fine city, Patrick Birch. Hey, Patrick.
Bart, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good.
And you've got something? You're sick?
Got a sinus infection, so
sinus
I won't
infection. I don't
shake.
think
We'll high five in the air with fist pump, whatever.
Long council meeting last night, 2 long ones in a row, actually.
It's becoming a common event.
The budget, that's the big topic.
Yeah, we have about a $28 million general fund budget and a total budget of about $131 million, which includes transfers to and from, which means you're counting the money twice. So it's kind of inaccurate to say that we're actually spending $131 million, including all funds. That includes pension liabilities and so on. So
We are under, I guess, we have to wait until the state budget is finalized to fill in some blanks on your budget, right?
well, we estimate, and we hope that they don't cut areas that we need. So that's a pretty common event every year, because we have different fiscal years. We start in July, they start in October.
Well, let's talk about some of the things that you guys covered last night. Fire staffing. Now we have a SAFER grant that is paying for, I think, what, 3 firefighters?
9.
9.
Yeah.
9. But the grant comes to an end.
Well,
later
it
this
actually
year.
comes to an end in July, and we've asked for an extension because we have leftover money to take it all the way to October. And what council did last night is to fund those firefighters next year at the balance of the cost, and that's really what they voted on, to keep them the rest of the year.
And is there potential for a renewal of the SAFER grant?
Well, the SAFER is a little bit different this year. It requires a larger match, especially in the third year. It requires a 75% match. So I suspect if you were able to keep on these 3 firefighters and able to augment them with 6 more, you'd have to find, quite a bit of money from here in the next 4 years. Whether that's possible or not, I don't know. But I think we'll strive to make that happen if we can.
Just a couple weeks ago was the groundbreaking for the 200, and that's a project that has actually it's been in the works for, what, 3 years?
It's pretty typical for a project like this to take 2 or 3 years to get off the ground. It takes a lot of iterations of performas and spreadsheets to be able to accommodate whether you can get a safe return on your investment. It's a lot of risk, especially for the people, anybody doing these kind of projects. And quite frankly, it's not uncommon. I mean, the Hayes, we've been working on the Hayes 3.5 years, and we think within the next year we'll have it finalized on that development and that financing, but it just takes time.
Does a project like the 200 and then the other project that actually is underway downtown, the senior lofts, Francis Lofts, does that help a project like the Hayes move forward, or does it slow it down?
No, I think it helps. I mean, obviously, the old economic development was create the jobs and people will go to them. I think a lot of cases people are looking for a place to live. And Jackson desperately needs people and population because we've lost half our population in a 60-year period. So we've got to get back up to, we were not going to be able to get to 60 probably in our lifetime, but I think seeing a 5 or 10,000 person increase in the next 10 or 15 years would be really great. And density in terms of how people live is not a dirty word because it's efficiency of infrastructure use. So I think that's where we become economically strong again, is to get as many people downtown so we can create because it's not, you have to have the people to create the grocery stores, because if the demographics aren't there, developers won't build the other stuff.
So we've got the 200 with nearly 90 units, the lofts on Louis 30, the downtown lofts, the
73 over there
Francis Street, the
Albert
Sit
Kahn.
Path, there's the new project across from Flagstar on
Yeah.
Michigan Ave.
Well, there's probably, between those 4 developments, you're likely to see another 250 apartment rental units downtown that are very nice. And 3 of them are subsidized such that somebody who doesn't have to make an income, very large income, can live there as if they were making a higher income because it's subsidized. It gives people hope.
Well, it seemed to me that would be a great opportunity for a grocery store or the other types of businesses that residential buildings would really demand.
Absolutely, and you can't have one without the other. A grocery store without the residential base is impossible. And any grocery store developer will tell you that. We're going to get to that thing. I think we need about 400 people downtown to make that, to hit that threshold.
That'll do it. And this building, this will have retail on the first floor?
Some of it, in the corner facing us right there, on the corner of Pearl, have retail, and the rest of it has the full storefront windows, but has has a full storefront window. That's a little, that's a little older version. But it's there's actually residential on the first floor, and it's built such that you can actually, once the commercial market fills up and the space fills up downtown, you can actually convert the first floor space.
Commercial space more profitable than residential space?
It depends on where you are, right? Sometimes that's the case. 5 years ago, that wouldn't have been the case in Jackson.
And this really would be the first time that we'd have first floor residential in the downtown district.
Yeah, I think it's pretty commonplace. In a perfect world, you wouldn't have that. But if that's what makes the project work, I think you accept it and make sure that the space is convertible over time.
Well, it's common in bigger cities like brownstones.
It is very common. Ann Arbor has a lot of that. But like I said, the key is that's more of a form-based code. The form of the building, the storefront, large storefront windows, the clear glass, all of that is conducive for switching it and converting that to larger commercial use once the market absorbs the amount of commercial space it needs. So once that happens, then residences on those first floor units, it becomes more cost effective to have businesses there, and then you start doing them in upper lofts again.
Well, it must be attracting attention from outside the area as well. People, developers or speculators might be seeing what's happening in Jackson. Are you getting?
I get calls all the
happening?
time, all the time, looking for people wanting to do this. And really, it's really unusual. A lot of communities are looking at us and saying, I want to know how we get these LIHTC projects, because the Grand Rapids of the world are desperate because they have a higher area median income, which is very difficult for them to entice low-mod income developers to build these nice kind of units in communities in their downtowns.
All right, and you mentioned the Hayes. That's still
It's still
moving
alive,
forward?
but it takes a long time. I'm asking for the public to be very patient, because projects that cost $35 or $40 million don't happen overnight, and it's very complicated to put these deals together. And you have to show a return, because there are private people that are risking a lot of money to make a project like that happen. And if you can't make that work, I mean, it's all about the market.
And what's the latest mix of what the Hayes would be as of now?
Hotel, commercial, restaurant, and some retail. No residential.
And the hotels that are just popping up on 94. What is that? What message do we get as a community to see hotel developers add rooms like that?
Well, I don't know. The chamber president would probably better, or the Experience Jackson president would probably be better to answer that question than I would. My goal is to make sure that we get urban core type facilities here, and I think that demands a higher level of hotel than you see. Not that those aren't nice hotels; they're very nice, but I think at some point when you have an urban core downtown that wants conferences and small get-togethers like that, I think it demands a little nicer urban hotel, like you see the H in Midland.
Full-service restaurant and fitness center and banquet facilities and all that.
Exactly.
All right, back to last night's city council meeting. Safety. Police Chief Elmer Hitt had a presentation. Council member Craig Patton has been championing another idea, both designed to address gun violence. What did the council approve?
Council didn't approve anything last night. The idea is to try to raise some money. We're a little short to make either one of those work, and in the future they could work together. But obviously we don't want to draw the fund balance below 20%, because that has an effect on our interest rates and our bond carry costs. So we're trying pretty diligently. I've talked to the mayor today, and I know that this is headed up by Councilwoman Kelsey Heck, is trying to really push the gun violence interventions more of a social structure and how they deal with gun violence. It's more of a long-term fix. So I think it appears that council is moving toward that, although not everybody is in agreement. But I think Phil Holmes and I and Elmer will meet in the interim and see if we find a way to finance that. The budget's a fluid document, can be amended at any time.
And I think you made a change last night with the budget
They did.
for the firefighters, right?
They did. And quite frankly, I mean, no budget is perfect. It's a spending plan. And you don't budget to the nickel. It's just how it goes. And we work really hard to make sure that we project what we think our expenditures are going to be. We've done a pretty good job at it. Phil has done a great job at it over the last 30 years. But
Also, the council approved the DDA budget, and Patrick and I are both on the DDA board. So currently, we're without a director. What's the thinking of the DDA, and where is it? Where are we going with it forward?
Well, I think the point is they're trying to make sure that there's enough money in their operational budget to actually sustain itself, right? That means you probably don't have a lot of the stuff that you used to do, and it also means, unfortunately, you probably can't have 2 staff members. It's difficult not to have a director, and I think the DDA, I think it was unanimous that they take one of the jobs away and create and just keep the director job, and I guess they're still taking applications as far as I know.
Yeah, actually, there's 2 postings. There's for economic development manager for the city.
Yep,
And a DDA director.
that's correct.
So have you settled on someone yet for economic development?
Economic development isn't like it used to be, right? So some of the players in that today are out doing the economic development that was done 20, 25 years ago, just not how it's done today. And unless you've evolved into that field, and there are very few people, it's more of a team approach now in terms of finance and financing mechanisms. You have to understand all those state programs. You also understand the private equity positions. And if you don't, economic development isn't about showing property anymore. It's about making very difficult projects work and making sure you're enticing equity groups to participate. So it's going to be tough.
The council approved a harm reduction program. What's that?
Harm reduction program is really aimed at the opioid problem, but not necessarily reducing the amount of users. It's to make it safer, right? The issue is to provide clean needles so that people aren't sharing needles and spreading HIV or hepatitis C that is usually done through needle exchange. So and use between people. So I think that's the whole premise of the program. There's about 10 communities in Michigan that do this now. We won't actually do it. It's a permissive ordinance, which means there's a group that will be able to do it.
So it's allowed, it'll be allowed. The city won't actually.
We won't participate necessarily.
Construction, obviously, there's a lot of street construction going on. We've got parking lot downtown, a couple of them.
Yeah,
right?
3 years ago we awarded a contract for the parking lot reconstruction behind City Hall, and I think we're going to start that soon.
Yeah. Well, it's been a staging site for
many things.
yeah.
And we have to have it done before Bright Walls, because that's the staging site of Bright Walls this
That's
year.
right.
And the Victory Lane is being rebuilt as well, and I think that John and Rick and those guys and Nick are trying to get 151 or Veritas, I apologize, open before Bright Walls. So we've all got all that's got to be done pretty quickly.
I think they're going to do it. I think they'll make it. It's amazing how much work's already been done.
They're working hard. They're working hard. A lot of good ideas in this community.
Yeah. And I know you've seen some drawings. They're going to do some work on the facade of that building. And,
Yes, they got approved at ZBA to do something that's like a place in Chicago. I don't know if John's told you that. It's got like a cedar slat on the front of it. It's really kind of cool.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
gonna
edgy.
be- Well, I have John Burka here, and now that the drawings have been approved, he's able to share them, and we'll be able
Yep.
to show those to you. And the Vermeulen's building, that's coming along pretty quickly too.
They're painting right now, doing a fantastic job. It's really a great facility. I mean, when we get inside, obviously this week we're going to be bidding the kitchens, 2 kitchens. And we kind of have a good sense of it because we had somebody who works for the health department help us price the equipment out, so we know what that's going to cost. It's a matter of the hoods and everything else now in installation. So I think we're going to be on budget.
Awesome. Appreciate all the updates.
No problem.
Hope you're feeling better.
I hope so too. I don't like walking around feeling like I'm going to fall down.
Well, you can lay on the green couch the rest of the afternoon. It's
That's
open.
right.
Our city manager, Patrick Birch. A lot more coming up.